and welcome to Chant A Psalm A Day. Today is Sunday, the 11th of February. So it is, I'm late. It's almost 7 in the rise. I usually start at 5. However, I had to take care of a few things first, and I'm glad that I did take care of that. So that's been sent out. And I wanted to start the day with the verse of the day is coming from First Corinthians, and I ask that my words and my meditation of my heart and the words of my mouth are acceptable to the Most High. And this verse of the day is from First Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 to 5. And most of you may know this, uh, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 to 5. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not boast. Love is not proud. Love does not dishonor others. Love is not self-seeking. Love is not easily angered. Love keeps no record of wrongs. So in First Corinthians, we define love. What is love? And we know that the Most High is love. And when we speak of God, we speak of love and righteousness, right? Well, in First Corinthians, this is I believe this is in the New Testament. It had to be reiterated because people have lost their way when it comes to what love really is. People have a love for money. People have a love for sex. People have a love for drugs. People have a love for gambling. People have a love for different things. They have a love for themselves, what they want their for themselves. However, love is not self-seeking. Love doesn't seek just for yourself. Okay? So I would rather be a giver than to receive. I would like to give, and I receive from the Most High what is due to me based on what I've sown. So when we look at love in the term of, an omnipotent love, we're looking at basically that honest integrity, kindness, and caring. And in the psalm today, we're looking at, let me slide over here. We're looking at the Most High as a rock. Now, the rock has been signified in the scripture many times as Jesus is the stone the builder refused. That is similar to Selassie the First. That stone that the builder refused. The builder has refused that name. And when we look at the Psalm today, Psalm 18, the Lord is my rock and my fortress. Translating that, I look at the love of the Most High. The Almighty's kindness and grace is I and I rock and I fortress. And we define what fortress is. Fortress is a military base that is secured, right? So in the Psalm today, it's 50 verses. I'm going to just read it and translate at the same time because it's a very long verse. So let's dive into this. It starts off by proclaiming love. I love you, O Lord, my strength. Okay, it opens up with that. I love you, Lord, my strength. So it is a psalm to the choir master, a psalm of David, the servant of the Lord, who addressed the words of this song to the Lord on the day when the Lord delivered David from the hand of all David's enemies and from the hand of Saul. So if you look in the scripture, you read about David, you read about King Saul, So King Saul, was before David. David got the kingship through that. But when we look at the um, deliverance from enemies, this psalm is 50 verses, and it's adulation of the Most High in the highest sense of the word. So it starts off, I love you, O Lord, my strength, I and I strength. I love you. I love Jah. So you can translate it as and put what you is. What is you? You is the Most High, the Lord, the God, Jesus, Selassie the First. That is where the strength comes from, right? From that Most High, that Almighty. So I love the Most High, my I and I strength. The Most High is a rock and a fortress and a deliverer. I and I Most High, I and I rock, where I take safety. I and I shield and the horn of I and I salvation, I and I stronghold. I call upon the Most High. The Most High is worthy to be given Isis, and I am saved from I and I enemies. So let's unpack 1, 2, and 3. You notice the horn of I and I salvation is in there. And who is the Lord? Your strength, the rock of that you take safety, the shield, the horn of your salvation. This is all referencing Ethiopia and that heritage and that lineage of kings and queens that come from that royal place of Ethiopia. And that's why we come as Black people, we come from kings and queens. That has been kind of downed in a way where we look at our beginnings as Black people on the plantation serving others. But that's not how it began for Black people. And the history has been thwarted and, mystified and made mythical. Like these are mythical creatures and individuals, Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, these are Black people. So when we look at this Psalm 18, verse 1, 2, and 3, unpacking that, we look at Ethiopia, the horn of I and I salvation, I and I stronghold. Ethiopia is one of the pieces of Africa that could not be colonialized and it could not be conquered because of this stronghold and strength and this salvation that comes from that space. So when we look at this Psalm 18, it is directly giving a adoration for the Most High. David is giving this adoration for the Most High, that the Most High is going to save those who serve that righteousness and goodness and kindness and compassion. When you serve that, you will receive and reap the strength and salvation that's coming from the Most High, that is worthy to be given Isis, because you are saved from your enemies. So in verse 4 and 5, the cords of death encompassed I and I. The torrents of destruction assailed I and I. The cords of Sheol entangled I and I. The snares of death confronted I and I. So verse 4 and 5 is explaining specifically what is happening that is representing the being, the enemies, being saved from the enemies. And in verse 4 and 5, that is being explained. Okay, it's explaining that these cords of death encompass me. They're surrounding David, right? And in verse 6, David is expressing that in the distress of all of that, okay, from verse 4 to 5, we're talking about the distress that David has been going through with the enemies. He called on the Most High. To his God, to the Almighty, he cried for strength. from David's temple, from the Most High, rather, from the Most High's temple, the Most High heard David's voice, and David's cry to the Most High reached to the Most High's ears. So we're giving human attributes to the Most High: eyes to see, ears to hear, and a voice, right? So in verse 6, this distress that David is feeling in verse 4 and 5 is being heard by the Most High. So when you're sitting there crying, or you're in tears about something, or you're in distress, or you have the Most High is hearing you and is going to lift you up out of that once your focus is sowing goodness and righteousness and mercy and kindness and love. So in verse 7, we see David shifting now to the earth. Then the earth reeled and rocked. The foundations also of the mountains trembled and quaked, because Jah was angry, because Jehovah was angry, because the Most High was angry. Verse 8 specifically describes how this anger is coming out. Smoke went up from Jah's nostrils, and devouring fire from Jah's mouth. Now, I highlighted this verse 8 because we are seeing a representation of the Most High, smoke coming out of his nostrils. So you had to inhale and blow out the smoke, and there's a devouring fire coming out of the Most High's mouth. Now, some scholars and theologians may look at this as, figuratively. However, I'm looking at this as literally, because the Most High is a burning fire. And as we look at in the book of Genesis, or as in Exodus, one of those New Testament books talks about Moses, and there was an engulfing of flames of fire that was burning this bush. Nothing else was burning around it but just that. So when we look at the Most High, we're looking at the Most High as a hot blazing fire. That is that love of the Most High. And only the wicked is going to burn from that. The righteous is not going to burn from the fire. They're going to be okay, just as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego signified to us. The righteousness of one's is going to be that saving grace. And when you have that righteousness, you're building that relationship with that one that can save you. It's nothing else out here that can save you but that one. So when we look at verse 8, is talking about glowing coals flame forth from him. Glowing coals. These coals are fireballs that are flaming forth from the Most High. So in verse 7 and 8, we're talking about the earth reeling and rocking, and earthquake and volcanoes, and this is happening. So in verse 9, we see that David is expressing how the Most High bowed the heavens and came forth. All right? Thick darkness under the Most High's feet. So in this Psalm 18, the Most High, the God Almighty, is being described, as in Revelation, how the Most High is being described by John. So, and John was put into prison when he wrote, when he was revealed these things. So you have to be alone, all one with the Most High, for these things to be revealed to you. That's why some people are afraid to be alone, because they're going to be in fellowship with that is higher than them, right? So, and sometimes that is a revealing of that person's shortfalls or shortcomings that they don't want to change. They want to stay in that space of, stagnation. But as a tree, we are planted by the rivers of water, bearing fruit. We have to grow. We have to grow. You have to grow in your relationship with your children, with your spouse, with your family. You're growing. When you were 2 years old, that relationship was that 2-year-old relationship. Now you're 20, it's a different relationship. So we have to see growth as a good thing and not as a bad thing. Change is good, right? depending on what that change is producing and what the outcome of that change is. So just like some folks speak of, you do the same thing, you get the same results. So if you want different results, you have to do something different. So what is that? That is change. That is growth. Like a tree planted, it has to have water, sunlight, and nutrients in order to grow. The same with I and I. We have to have these different elements in order for us to grow. And there's a lot of distractions out there, so many, that we oftentimes get caught up in the distractions, and then we become depressed or have anxiety, and we become, fragile and needing, therapy and needing, drugs or pharmaceutical medication to cure our, despairs. So when we look at the Most High, the Most High is being described now in Psalm 18. So the Most High bowed the heavens and came forward. Thick darkness was under the Most High's feet. So the Most High has feet, has mouth, has nostrils, has ears. All of this the Most High has. So when I look at the Most High, some people, oh, he's not a color. Yes, he is. He's black. And that's the Most High. I'm not making this up. This is explained in the scriptures. And that's why you see the scriptures were translated over and over to take all that out and whitewash it, so that we have this dominant, white supremacy ideology infused in religion, education, healthcare, all of these different places where you see black people are the most likely to suffer from all these different areas because they're dominated by this white supremacy ideology. And so when we are looking at verse number 10, Jah rode on a cherub and flew. Jah came swiftly on the wings of the wind. Jah made darkness, Jah covering. Jah canopy around Jah, thick clouds dark with water. Out of the brightness before Jah, hailstones and coals of fire broke through Jah clouds. So what is the Most High coming with? Fire, hot blazing. The Most High is coming with fire, hailstones and coals of fire. And only the wicked is going to feel the fire burning. That's where this anger comes in. And that's where joy of the righteous, you will see the difference. Ones who are angry and ones who are joyful. Those who are joyful will be saved. Those who are angry will burn in the fire. So that's why it's written, it's okay to be angry, but don't go sin. Don't hold things and hold people up to a firing squad because they did you something wrong. Send them love. Love is probably what they need, as 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verse 4 and 5 states. Love is patient. Okay? So we're not going to be angry and sin. We're going to be angry. I'm going to be angry at folks, but I'm not going to go sin against folks. I'm going to stick with 1 Corinthians. Love is patient. I'm going to be patient. Love is kind. I'm going to be kind. Love does not envy. I'm not going to envy someone because they have something that I don't. Love does not boast. I'm not going to boast about myself. I'm going to boast in the Most High. Love is not proud. I am not going to have pride. I'm not going to be proud of you. I'm going to be blessed of you. Pride and being proudful that's not love. Love does not dishonor others. I'm not going to dishonor someone because they dishonored me. I'm not going to do that. Love is not self-seeking. Love doesn't seek for itself. If I'm buying a banana, I'm going to buy one for myself and for someone else. I'm going to buy two in case I see someone else. So I'm not self-seeking. Okay? I am without a car. I have people who have cars because of me, but I don't have one where I could drive. I'm not self-seeking. I know it's going to come and I know it's going to happen. But that's not what I'm seeking for myself. So that's love. Love is not easily angered. Love keeps no record of wrongs. So when someone does me wrong, I'm not going to throw it back up in their face 5 minutes later and said, "You remember when you did me this?" You know, it doesn't love is not about that. So when we look at the Most High as love, David is describing the Most High specifically when the earth is reeling and rocking and the foundations of the mountains are trembling and quaking because the Most High is angry. And when the Most High is angry, these things are happening. Smoke out of the Most High's nostril, hailstone, all this stuff. And then in verse 13, David speaks on the Lord also thundered in the heavens. So it's not just the earth rocking and reeling, it is the heavens that are thundering. I'm spitting up, I'm just so the heavens now David is talking about in verse 13. That the heavens is going to be thundering, and the Most High uttered the Most High's voice. Hailstones and coals of fire is the voice of the Most High. So when we look at ministers, we are ministers of fire. We call fire angels that are doing the bidding of the Most High. Fire is going to burn the wicked. So get on the righteous road. Get on the Zion train of goodness, mercy, love, and compassion. Get on that train so you don't get burned in the fire. I mean, this is what nature does. Actions have consequences, right? What you do comes back to you. What you sow is what you're going to reap. So when you sow righteousness, you're going to reap that. When you sow selflessness, you're going to reap that. When you sow kindness and compassion, you're going to reap that. So try to do that. Try to find that space where you can have a relationship with the Most High and commune together to find different activities and actions that you can perform and do that supports that relationship. Get off the video games. Get off the gambling machines. Get off the TV set and open up a book and read. Read. So in verse 13, we see that not just the earth in verse 7 is reeling and rocking, it is the heavens. And verse 14, and Jah sent out Jah arrows and scattered these arrows. And Jah flashed forth lightnings and routed them. So he is directing these lightnings to where they're supposed to go. In verse 15, then the channels of the sea were seen, and the foundations of the world were laid bare at the rebuke of the Most High, at the blast of the breath of Jah nostrils. Okay? Some theologians said that the corruption has gotten into the nostrils of the Most High. It's reaching so far to heaven. So in verse 16, we see that David is expressing how the Most High took and were sent from on high and took David. So in verse 16, the Most High sent from on high, Jah took me, Jah took I and I. Jah drew I and I out of many waters. Jah rescued I from I and I strong enemy and from those enemies who hated I and I. For these enemies were too mighty for I and I. Where does this remind you of? David and Goliath. I'm fighting a Goliath, okay? I'm fighting a Goliath. They're too mighty for me. Lawyers, doctors, all these different individuals that are the principalities of this world that are trying to downpress the poor and the needy and take away the heritage of I and I ancestors, the land that I and I ancestors worked hard to toil and to, blood and sweat toiling on the land. Now these Goliaths are coming in and want to take it. So I feel David. I feel where David is coming from. I feel like I'm fighting a Goliath myself. So, when we look at this, we are going to, realize in verse 18, yeah, the enemies confronted I and I in the day of I and I calamity. So this is when the enemies are coming to attack, when you are down, right? But, not even but, however, the Most High was a support. The Most High brought I and I out into a broad place, rescued I and I because the Most High delighted in I and I. Why is the Most High delighting in these ones? Because they are serving the Most High. They fear the Most High. They fear the Most High to the point of, I'm not going to do wrong because someone's watching, and that is Jah. In verse 20, the Most High dealt with I and I according to I and I righteousness. Okay, exactly what I just mentioned. The Most High is going to deal with you according to how you deal with people, right? How you are dealing with people is how you're going to be dealt with. So when you're nasty, unkind, cursing people out, going on with people, the Most High is going to send ones that deal with you just like that. And then you're going to wonder why people doing that to you. It's because you started it. You have started that ball rolling. So start the ball rolling of love and kindness so it can, when it rolls down the hill, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger of love and kindness, not foolishness, envy, jealousy, and all these other attributes that are negative. So when we look at verse 18, the enemies are attacking David, but the Most High is delighting in David, so he's going to rescue David. In verse 20, the Most High dealt with I and I according to I and I righteousness, according to the cleanness of I and I hands, I and I am rewarded. For I and I have kept the ways of the Most High and have not wickedly departed from my Jah. For all Jah rules were before I and Jah statutes did not put away from I and I. So the agreements, all these agreements and rules, and I kept I and I self from I and I guilt. So the Most High has rewarded I and I according to I and I righteousness, according to the cleanness of I and I hands in Jah's sight, not other people's sight, but in the Most High's sight. Verse 25, with the merciful, Jah will show mercy. With the blameless, Jah will show blameless. With the purified, Jah will show pure. And with the crooked, Jah will make the crooked seem torturous. For Jah save a humble people, but the haughty eyes will be brought down. For humbleness is as I and I is Jah that lights I and I lamp. Okay. And the Most High, my Almighty, lightens I and I despair. For true Jah, I and I can run against a troop. And true I and I Almighty, I and I can leap over a wall. This Most High, Jah way is perfect. Yahweh, Yahweh. You notice that? We have that similarity. And the word of the Most High proves true. For Jah is a shield for all I that take safety in Jah. So when you take safety in the Most High, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. The Most High is going to lighten your despair. You're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, you're going to be lightened. That's going to be lightened like a feather. So in verse 31, for who is Jah but the Most High? And who is a rock except our Most High? The Most High that equipped I with strength and made I way blameless. Jah made I feet as the feet of a deer and set I secure on the heights. Jah trains I hands for war so that I arms can bend a bow of bronze. Jah have given I the shield of Jah salvation, and Jah righteous hand supported I, and Jah gentleness made I great. Jah gave a wide place for I steps under I, and I feet did not slip. I pursued I enemies and overtook I enemies, and did not turn away till all I enemies were consumed. I thrust I enemies through so that the enemies were not able to rise. The enemies fell under I feet. Okay, this is the battle. This is the battle here. For Jah equipped I with strength for the battle. Jah made the enemies who rise against I sink under I. Drop them. Jah made I enemies turn their backs to I. And the enemies who hated I were destroyed. The enemies cried for help. There was none to save the enemy. The enemy cried to the Lord, and the Lord did not answer the enemies. I beat them fine as dust before the wind. I cast them out as the myrrh of the streets. So the enemies are going to be casted out. This is what's going to be happening. So why fight the enemy when this battle is going to be more productive than any battle you could fight, right? Jah delivered I from strife with the people. Jah made I the head of the nations. People whom I had not known served I. As soon as the people heard of I, the people obeyed I. Foreigners came cringing to I. Foreigners lost heart and came trembling out of their foreigners' fortresses when they heard of what the Most High has done. So David in verse 46, the Most High lives, and blessed be I rock, and exalted be the Most High of I salvation. The Almighty who gave I vengeance and subdued peoples under I, that rescued I from I enemies. Yes, the Most High exalted I above the enemies who rose against I and delivered I from the violence of human beings. Period. So verse 46 to 48 is just shaking the earth. Okay. Verse 49 and 50, this is the end of the psalm. For this, and what is this? I don't use pronouns. So what is this? This is the Almighty that gave I vengeance and subdued the people under I. All of that. And the enemies who we are being rescued from. I is being rescued from the enemies and exalted above the enemies who rise against I. So because of all of that, I give Isis to the Most High. I chant Isis to the Most High among the nations. I will hail Selassie the First. I will shout the name of Jesus. I will shout the name of Jehovah Jireh, Yeshua, Yahweh, Kadamawe. I will call on the name of the Most High among the nations and chant Isis to the name of the Most High. Okay? Great salvation Jah brings to I and show steadfast love to the anointed, to Jah's anointed, to David and to David's offspring for all time to come. So we're looking at that heritage, that lineage of David and David's offspring, Selassie the first, Queen of Sheba, Solomon, all of that is part of that heritage of David. So to the east, my brother and sister, to the east, we have to look to Ethiopia. We have to, because that is where that chosen people, the chosen people of the Most High exist, who are called by Jah name. Okay? Selah and Selah again, herons. The Psalm 18 for today. The Psalm 18 was very long, 50 verses. The Lord is my rock and my fortress. Jah is I rock and I fortress, I stronghold. Okay? So let's look at the word of the day. And the word of the day today is strength. That is so appropriate for the Psalm, because Psalm 18 is talking about fortress and Psalm 18 is talking about rock. And that is the strength for the stone the builder refused, is the head of the cornerstone. That is where Rastafari is translated as head creator, that head of the cornerstone that was refused. Rastafari was refused by society. They were looked down upon because their hair was matted, and they didn't want to eat the foods of the world that was, all the flesh of the earth. They wanted to grow their own food and wanted to be part of that relationship with the Most High. And they were ostracized. They were killed, beaten, persecuted, just as black folks were. But Rastafari was persecuted by their own black folks. Their own Christian black folks who wanted to perpetuate Christianity and did not want to look at the Rastafari as that part of that relationship with the Most High. They refused. They wanted to, continue to keep on this whitewashed white supremacy ideology that God is white, Jesus is white, and everything else that's black is evil and bad and wrong, when that's not the case. So in looking at the word of the day, strength, I ask that my meditation and my words are acceptable, especially for the word of the day, strength. Centered in divine strength, I am sure and loving. So the words are confident and peaceful, and I don't use confident and I don't use peaceful. I use the words self-assured and loveful, full of love. Centered in divine strength, I is fully aware and centered in love. I find myself struggling to bear the weight of a heavy load. When I am wondering how much farther I can travel or how much longer I can carry on, I rely on I righteous strength to keep I going. When I keep I thoughts with a divine gift and not on the weight I carry or the distance I travel, I am tapping into the power of the Most High, expressing as I. Through divine strength, I am renewed and refreshed. I have everything I need to stay the course. Knowing the presence of the Most High comes to I through many channels. I may ask for strength and accept it graciously when it comes. I give myself breaks and make time for adulation and adoration and other righteous practices. Through it all, or through all these righteous practices, I remain strong and grateful for the Most High within I. So finally, be strong in the Lord and the strength of Jah power. Ephesians 6, verse 10. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of Jah power. Ephesians 6, verse 10. That is the scripture that supports the word of the day. The word of the day is strength. Go out there and know and be aware that you are loving, you are blessed, highly favored, and wonderfully made, and you have that strength as the psalm expresses today about the fortress and the rock. Remember, Jesus is the stone the builder refused. I are the stone the builder refused because we call on these names. We call on the name of the Most High. Selassie the First, we're rejected. We call on the Most High. Yeshua, we're rejected. We call on the Most High. Yahweh, we're rejected. We call on the name Jesus. That's the name the world accepts. But we are not of this world. So whatever the world accepts, I am kind of wary about because I do not live as the world lives, or I do not give thanks as the world give thanks, and I don't give Isis as the world gives Isis, what the world calls praises. I do not give praises as the world gives praises. So I am going to end here with the word of the day, strength, and the psalm of the day, Psalm 18. Go read it. Psalm 18. It's 50 verses. I just read it. We can replay this video and look at it. Look at how I broke it. Not broke it, but how I unpacked it to give you strength to know that you're not alone, that you have an advocate that is the Most High. You are not alone. So go out there and show your strength by being kind, loving, compassionate, and most importantly, respectful. Bless and keep. Thank you so much for joining Chant A Psalm A Day. We will see you again on the next Chant A Psalm A Day, that is the next day. Every day, tune in for Chant A Psalm A Day. And actually subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications of when the next Chant A Psalm is going to be. You can also know that the Chant A Psalm A Day is in the rise, early in the rise. So tune in, 5 o'clock, 6 in the rise. Right now it's 7, almost 7:30 in the rise. So I'm getting ready for Sunday service. So go ahead and enjoy your Sunday. And remember, you have strength through that is higher than you. So Radokna, do good everyone, and I'll see you on the next Chant A Psalm A Day. Take good care. Take care. Have a bubbly day.